Welcome to Part 2 of Student Involvement's Fiscal Management Training. Now that we have reviewed the funding sources for your RSO activities, let us discuss how your RSO can spend its SFB money. Please note that all methods can be requested on Mason 360 through the Payment Request form, which is located on your RSO budget. Spending basics. First, the President and Treasurer of your RSO are the only individuals authorized to spend money from your RSO account. Before submitting any spending request, you should gain the approval of your President or Treasurer. Second, your RSO will be assigned a 6-digit organization code, also referred to as the account number, that starts with M or W with the last 5 digits unique to your RSO. Your RSO will use this organization code, or OR code, to spend its SFB funding. Please ensure that you have secured the funding with either SFB or off-campus SGR before committing to or paying for an expense. The first spending method is on-campus charging. When using SFB funding, your RSO may provide its organization code to certain on-campus offices to charge goods and services directly to your budget. When paying with off-campus funds, or SGR, your RSO will need to pay by credit card or check. These offices include parking services, event services, print services, the catering office, and police services. By providing these offices with your RSO organization code, you are authorizing them to access your RSO account to deduct the final cost of the good or service that they are providing. For this reason, you should try to avoid sharing your RSO organization code with unauthorized users who may use it for expenses that do not belong to your RSO. Although we will make every attempt to work with these offices to refund any fraudulent charges, it is sometimes impossible to prove that an expense was not authorized by your RSO. The second spending method available to your RSO is the University Purchasing Card, also known as P-Card. The P-Card is a university credit card issued to a Mason employee. SI Budget can pay online or over the phone for expenses that are over $100 but less than $5,000. These expenses can include things such as catering and Amazon products. Your RSO can also schedule a trip with SI Budget staff to pay for groceries at the Giant located at University Mall. Requesting payment via P-Card saves you from having to pay out of pocket for an expense. Please note that the P-Card cannot be used to purchase prohibited items such as alcohol, gifts, gift cards, or any items of a personal nature. The third spending method available to your RSO is a purchase order, or PO. If your RSO is paying for an expense over $5,000 or for a contractual or entertainment expense, then you will use a purchase order. A purchase order is a promissory agreement between Mason and the vendor to pay for a good or service after it has been received and the vendor has invoiced Mason. Please note that all purchase orders must be obtained prior to the receipt of a good or service. This means that you cannot request a purchase order for an expense that has already occurred or been received. With this in mind, we ask that all purchase order requests be submitted at least 5 business days before they are needed. The fourth type of payment is reimbursement. If your purchase must be made in person, or if it costs less than $100 but no more than $5,000, then one of your RSO members will need to pay out of pocket for the expense and seek repayment afterwards. Reimbursement is also the spending method used for all travel expenses. Before you make any purchases for travel, please review the travel policy and procedures, as well as the reimbursement info on the rso-self-service-center. Not adhering to the policies and procedures can prevent a traveler from receiving full reimbursement. Please note that reimbursements may only be issued to Mason faculty, staff, or students. Reimbursements must also be submitted within 45 days of the purchase or event date and must include itemized receipts. Since Virginia sales tax is not a reimbursable expense, please have the payee email si.gmu.edu to obtain a copy of the University Tax-Exempt Certificate, which should be used upon checkout. As is the case with P-Card purchases, reimbursements cannot include prohibited items such as alcohol, gifts, gift cards, or any items of a personal nature. There may be times when your RSO would like to thank an individual for providing a professional service, such as giving a presentation or judging a competition. To do this, you will issue a monetary token of appreciation, also known as an honorarium. Although an honorarium is an allowable expense, there are several restrictions to its use. First, honorarium recipients cannot expect compensation or charge a fee for their services. Second, honorariums cannot be issued to current or recent Mason employees, and the recipients should be distinguished in their respective fields. Third, honorariums may not be paid to organizations or businesses, only to individuals. And finally, honorariums must be under $2,000. In the case of a presenter, an RSO may include an additional amount to help defray the cost of any travel expenses that were incurred by the honorarium recipient. Students should never pay out of pocket for a presenter's travel expenses. When collaborating on events, your RSO may need to share the cost of an expense with another RSO or Mason office. When this occurs, your RSO should submit a journal voucher or JV request. A JV transfer is simply an internal movement of money between university accounts. For detailed instructions on all the spending methods, please visit the online rso-self-service center. For requesting payment, please log into your Mason 360 budget and click on the Request Payment button. Please note that the RSO Self-Service Center can answer most of your budget questions, including, how do I submit a purchase order to pay a vendor? How do I get reimbursed for supplies that I purchased for my RSO event? How do I pay for my conference registration fee? In addition to fiscal matters, the RSO Self-Service Center contains information on funding, room reservations, advertising, the event checklist, Mason 360, and many other topics. Ideally, the RSO Self-Service Center should be your first stop to get the information you need. If, however, you require further budget assistance, please feel free to email si.gmu.edu and we will try to respond to your inquiry within 2 business days. This concludes part 2 of the Fiscal Management Training.